It wasn't luck, it was mindset.
I still remember those days vividly, those struggling years, not just financially, but also in my thinking. I used to be poor, not just in my wallet, but deep within my mindset, that poverty wasn't just about the numbers in my bank account, or the meager meals. It was a state of mind, a default operating system that made me see the world through a lens of scarcity and limitation. It was a dark period, where the shadow of powerlessness covered every hope and dream. Back then, I was an expert at blaming. I blamed my circumstances, my parents for not giving me a better start. I criticized society for its injustices, the economy for its constant fluctuations, luck for not smiling upon me, everything around me except myself. I saw myself as a victim of fate, a pawn on a chessboard controlled by others. That mindset, though I didn't know it then, was an invisible chain tying me to a vicious cycle of mediocrity. It was like trying to run a marathon with your feet bound. You'd never reach the finish line, and worse, you'd believe you were incapable of running. And then, in what felt like a moment of aimlessness in my life, I learned the most important thing, a truth that forever changed my life's trajectory, a seed of enlightenment sown into the barren soil of my old mindset. Success doesn't come from what you have. It comes from how you think. This statement wasn't just a slogan. It was a declaration, a revelation, a fundamental shift in how I saw the world and myself. It showed me that true power didn't lie in external factors I used to blame, but deep within, in my own mind. When you see a successful person, you might immediately think they're lucky, or they had a good head start, or even worse, they had connections, they knew someone. You look at their achievements and attribute them to factors beyond your control. You see the luxury car, the big house, the lavish trips, and your brain quickly creates a story to explain that difference. A story that often leaves you feeling small and helpless. But do you know, those thoughts, those explanations based on luck or privilege, are the clearest manifestations of a poverty mindset, because it makes you believe that you don't control your own life. It puts your destiny in the hands of others, into random events, into factors you cannot influence. And when you believe you have no control, you will never act to change. You will forever stand still, while the world continues to spin. The poverty mindset isn't just about lacking money. It's a system of limiting beliefs, a pre-installed program in your mind that, if not recognized and changed, will keep you forever in your comfort zone, inch mediocrity. It's a silent enemy, not roaring, but systematically destroying your potential. A poverty mindset is when you believe that opportunities are not for you. You see others succeed, but you tell yourself they belong to a different league, that those doors of opportunity will never open for you. You build an invisible wall between yourself and a world of endless possibilities. Others get rich through luck or dishonest means. You suspect every success of others. You believe they must have had tricks, good fortune, or done something wrong. This is not just a biased judgment, but also a way to justify your own inaction. If success is just luck, then what's the point of your effort? You're not good enough, lucky enough, or qualified enough. These are the most powerful self-limiting mantras. They turn you into a victim of the very story you tell yourself. You don't see the potential within you, don't believe in your ability to learn and adapt. You accept a predetermined fate instead of creating it. A poverty mindset blames it never takes responsibility. When a problem arises, the first question isn't what can I do to solve it, but who caused this, or this situation is terrible. Blaming temporarily relieves responsibility, but it also strips you of the power to change. Because if you don't take responsibility, you also don't have the power to change the outcome. A poverty mindset procrastinates, it lives in the safe zone of comfort. Big ideas often come with fear and risk. A poverty mindset will find every reason to delay action. I don't have enough knowledge yet. Now isn't the right time. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow, in the dictionary of a poverty mindset, is a day that never comes. A poverty mindset lives in fear and self-imposed limits. The fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of loss are gigantic mountains that a poverty mindset dares not cross. It erects invisible walls of cannot and accepts a life below its potential. It refuses to take risks, refuses challenges, and therefore, it refuses opportunities to grow. I remember that struggling period like a nightmare. No one believed in me, and there was nothing special about me either. I was a dim individual, in the crowd, without clear direction, without outstanding skills. I was rejected dozens of times when applying for jobs, when proposing ideas. I had gone bankrupt, lost everything, fell deep into debt, feeling as if I could never recover. Long sleepless nights, per days lived in anxiety and self-doubt gnawed at my soul. But then one day, in my most desperate moment, as I was searching for any ray of hope, I read a line in an old book by Napoleon Hill, a book I stumbled upon, as if by destiny. That line, simple yet powerful, echoed in my mind, like a lightning bolt of awakening. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. This quote wasn't just a philosophy. It was a promise, a challenge. It affirmed the supreme power of the human mind. Right then, an obvious truth I had never realized struck my consciousness. If everything I blamed was external, why couldn't I use my own mind to change? If I could believe in limitations, why couldn't I believe in infinite possibilities? From that moment, a new seed sprouted. I began to change within, even before there was any outward sign of change. This was the first and most important step in my journey to create wealth. It wasn't about finding a new business opportunity, a loan, or a mentor. It was about shifting my internal compass, pointing it towards self-belief and personal power. I started to believe that I was 100% responsible for the results in my life. This was a great liberation. When you take responsibility, you're no longer a victim. You become the creator. You no longer wait for someone to come save you. You don't blame fate, your parents, the economy, or anything else. You understand that everything, from success to failure, is a direct or indirect result of your choices and actions. With this sense of responsibility, I reclaimed control of my life. It was like I used to drag myself with burdens I created, and now I had cast them off, feeling light and free. I didn't wait for anyone to rescue me. I didn't beg for help. Instead, I started to act, to learn tirelessly, to face failures, to get up after every fall, and to start over. Napoleon Hill always emphasized the importance of persistence and unwavering decision. I applied exactly that. Every failure was no longer an end, but a valuable lesson, precious data for me to analyze, adjust, and move forward. That was the process where I transformed my victim mindset into a learning and growth mindset. The shift in mindset wasn't a single event, it was a continuous process, reinforced by daily habits. To turn internal belief into concrete action, I began to build a new set of habits that I later realized were characteristic of successful and wealthy individuals that Napoleon Hill had studied. These habits weren't mysterious or complex. They were intentional actions, repeated with discipline. Every morning I woke up earlier instead of hitting snooze and starting the day in a rush. I decided to take control of my dawn. This act, as we discussed in the previous speech about the 5 a.m. club, is a powerful act of discipline, creating a quiet space for me to focus on myself before the outside world became noisy. It was a personal commitment that I kept with myself every single day. Every day, I read books, wrote plans, set goals. This was my golden hour. I used it to absorb knowledge, sharpen my intellect, and map out my day and my future. Reading books, I no longer read for mere entertainment. I read books on business, on self-development, on the history of successful people. I sought out philosophies, strategies, mindset patterns. Each book was a conversation with a great mind, an opportunity for me to learn from their experiences without having to pay the price of my own failures. This hunger for knowledge was a core element that Napoleon Hill identified in highly successful individuals. Writing plans, I learned to turn vague objectives into concrete action plans, step by step. Napoleon Hill called this definite purpose and detailed plans of action. I wrote down what needed to be done, my priorities, short-term and long-term goals. This brought clarity and direction, helping me avoid wasting time and energy on unimportant tasks. Setting goals, I didn't just set financial goals. One set goals for personal growth, for health, for relationships. I learned to set SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, transforming distant dreams into specific destinations on my life's map. I spent time with positive people, eliminated negativity, and retrained my self-discipline. The influence of the environment around us is immense, something Napoleon Hill emphasized with the concept of the mastermind group. Environment is everything. I realized that the people around me greatly influenced my mindset and energy. I actively sought out inspiring individuals, those with a wealth mindset who were willing to challenge and uplift me. Relationships with like-minded people are a tremendous source of strength. Eliminating negativity, I cut off toxic relationships, negative sources of information. I limited sensational news, stayed away from complaints and blaming. I understood that my mind is a garden, and I must be careful about what I sow into it. Retraining self-discipline. Discipline isn't punishment, it's the path to freedom. I started with the smallest things, keeping promises to myself, completing small tasks, being on time, persisting in habits, even when motivation was absent. Every small act of discipline was a brick building a strong will. I began to tell myself, I am the creator of my destiny. This wasn't just an empty phrase, it was an affirmation reinforced by daily action. I repeated it, not just with words but with conviction and behavior. I used the autosuggestion technique that Napoleon Hill introduced, constantly impressing the message of my own power and responsibility into my subconscious. And then the miracle happened. I didn't get rich overnight. There was no instant magic, but I changed every day. The change didn't come from the outside in, but from the inside out. Each day I became more confident, more persistent, more energetic. I no longer felt powerless, I felt strong, capable. This was the deepest transformation, the foundation for all future success. The wealth mindset isn't about having a lot of money. Money is merely a consequence, a measure. The wealth mindset is a philosophy of life, a way of perceiving the world and oneself. It's the mental framework that guided me from zero to becoming a millionaire. It's a completely different approach to life compared to the poverty mindset I was once stuck in. A wealth mindset is believing you have control over your life. This is the foundation. You are not a victim of fate. You are the captain of your life's ship. Every outcome, good or bad, stems from your choices and actions. This belief is the source of all power. It frees you from blaming and grants you the strength to act. Constantly learning and developing yourself. People with a wealth mindset never stop learning. They understand that the world is constantly changing, and if you don't continually upgrade yourself, you'll be left behind. They view every experience, whether success or failure, as an opportunity to learn and improve. This is the continuous learning that Napoleon Hill emphasized as one of the characteristics of highly successful people. Daring to invest in knowledge, in skills. People with a wealth mindset understand that best investment isn't in the stock market or real estate, but in themselves. They are willing to spend money, time, and effort to learn a new skill, join a course, or buy a book. They know that knowledge and skills are the most valuable and tangible assets, bring in unlimited returns, and that cannot be taken away. Knowing persistence, knowing failure is part of the journey. People with a wealth mindset are not afraid of failure. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success, but an indispensable part of success. Every stumble is a step closer to the goal. They possess persistence, as Napoleon Hill described, the ability to get up after to fall and keep moving, turning setbacks into motivation, knowing to take responsibility instead of blaming. This is the clearest sign of a wealth mindset. When a problem arises, they don't look for someone to blame. They ask, what can I do to solve this problem? They accept the outcome, learn the lesson, and seek ways to improve. This self-responsibility is the foundation of all progress. People with a wealth mindset ask, what did I learn from this failure? This is a continuous learning mindset. What can I improve? This is a growth mindset. Who is doing better than me, and what can I learn from them? This is a humble and expansive mindset. Seeking a mastermind group, as Napoleon Hill suggested. People with a poverty mindset ask, why did this happen to me? Victim mindset, I'll never be able to do it. Self-limiting mindset, why do they have it and I don't? Envious and negatively comparative mindset, I used to ask those poverty-driven questions, and because of that, I was truly poor, not just in money, but also poor in opportunities. Per inch belief in growth. My life revolved around complaints and dreams that were never realized until I changed the questions and changed my whole life. The change in questions was a change in mindset, and the change in mindset led to a change in action, and finally, a change in results. This was a positive domino effect, starting from a moment of enlightenment. I started earning my first money thanks to skills I taught myself. It was a small skill, but it proved that investing in oneself pays off. I no longer waited for a good job or a big opportunity to fall from the sky. I created value for myself. I started a small business. At first, it failed, it collapsed. I lost money, lost a bit of faith. But I remembered Napoleon Hill's words, every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. I analyzed the mistakes, learned from them. The second time, it still failed. Another fall, but I was different. I no longer blamed. I asked myself, where did I go wrong? What could I do differently? And I got back up. The third time, I gritted my teeth and kept going. There were times I wanted to quit, felt exhausted, but the new mindset, the new belief that had been built, wouldn't let me stop. And by the fourth time, it started to become profitable. It wasn't an explosive success, but it was a beginning. Living proof that persistence and the right mindset would bring results. It wasn't just about money. I didn't just earn money. I reclaimed myself, a person with belief, discipline, and inner strength. Money was just a byproduct of a person who had been reborn from within. I had become a stronger, wiser, more resilient version of myself. I no longer feared failure. I saw it as a friend, a teacher. Today I am a millionaire, not because I won the lottery, not because someone specifically helped me, not because I had a superior starting point, but because I rebuilt my mindset from scratch. I personally uprooted the weeds of poverty thinking and sowed the seeds of wealth thinking. I committed to myself that I would continue to learn and grow until I achieved my goals. Napoleon Hill was right. It's not circumstances that make the person, it's the inner belief that determines who you become. Circumstances are just a stage, but the script and how you act it out are all in your hands. You can continue to live with a poverty mindset and receive mediocre results, a life full of excuses, unrealized dreams, and untapped potential. Or you can decide, starting today, that I am responsible for my life, and I will not stop growing. This is a declaration, a vow, a commitment. It's not just a fleeting thought. It must be a firm, unwavering decision, as Napoleon Hill described about definiteness of decision. It's the moment you declare ownership of your life. My journey to becoming a millionaire is not a fairy tale of luck or innate talent. It is a living testament to the transformative power of mindset. I was once in the darkest place, chained by limiting beliefs, but I found light in Napoleon Hill's philosophy and chose to change. Success is not a final destination. It's a continuous process of growth. Wealth is not just a number in a bank account. It's comprehensive prosperity per inch, material, spiritual, and intellectual aspects. And it all begins in one single place, in your mind. Each of us has a golden fire within, an unlimited potential waiting to be awakened. But that fire won't ignite on its own unless you actively feed it fuel, the fuel of belief, of learning, of consistent action. You might feel overwhelmed, you might doubt. That's normal. But remember, a poverty mindset can be eliminated. A wealth mindset can be built. It's not a genetic trait, it's a skill, and like any other skill, it can be trained and sharpened. Napoleon Hill spent his entire life studying hundreds of the most successful people in history and distilled golden principles. What he discovered were not complex secrets, but simple, yet powerful truths about how the human mind works and how we can control it to achieve anything we desire. He didn't say everything would be easy, but he affirmed that everything is possible. Don't let old excuses or limiting beliefs imprison you for another second. Today is the day to tear up the old script, to rewrite your own story. You don't need luck. You need the right mindset and the power to change how you think, to craft your own destiny. You can start cultivating today. Start with a small belief. Start with a small action. Start by taking responsibility. Start by learning. Start by persisting. Choose to change. Choose to grow. Choose to become the best version of yourself. Let my story be an inspiration for your own success story. Remember Napoleon Hill's words, you are the master of your destiny. You are the captain of your soul. Start taking command today.